Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, everyone. My name is Muhammad Adam, and I'm representing us, Muhammad Adam, Siti, Hafsah, and Wahyuni from Faculty of Letters, Universitas Balikpapan. I'm going to deliver our papers entitled Kartini and Sri Kandi, Representation of Women in Indonesian Political Discourse through Metonymy, in this Literary Studies Conference 2020. I start from the background that in Indonesian discourse context, the use of Sri Kandi and Kartini is commonly used as metonymy to refer to woman who has the significant role in each field that is culturally associated with men's work. An example here from CNN Indonesia News saying that Sri Mulyani's achievement, Jokowi's Sri Kandi in financial statement. So Sri Kandi in this context is actually used as the representation of Sri Kandi's traits, which was possessed by Sri Mulyani. In this context, it used as metonymy. The aim of this study is to study the extent of metonymic use of Sri Kandi and Kartini across parties and election level, and the role of context in the choice between the two metonymies. Also, this study wishes to highlight the characteristics of each metonymy that map onto the target domain. Metonymy itself defined as the figure of language and thought in which one entity is used to refer or, in cognitive linguistic terms, provide access to another entity to which it is somehow related. This definition based on genetically thermal definition. And one of the common metonymy is the use of proper name to refer to a particular entity. As an umbrella is the lack of Jansen conceptual metaphor still. And in Lakoff and Jansen books, Metaphor We Live by 1980, they provide metonymy models, something like part for whole. Example, like we need a strong hand, but this job hand stands for person or people. Producer for product, like Versace on the cloth. Versace is used as metonymic for the product of clothes, and then controller for control, like Washington as Beijing. Washington refers to the US government and Beijing refers to the China government. And also like place for institution, White House refers to the institution which is US government administration. The complete taxonomy of metonymy can be found in Raden and Coffence's paper 1999, which you can see on in the reference of my paper for complete paper title of Raden on Coffence's. This study is descriptive, qualitative, and still with conceptual metaphor theory as the theoretical background. And we use 10 data purposefully chosen from media reports for this study. I have done myself the study on the use of metonymy of proper name and studying the use of Bill Gates from Corpus of Contemporary American. And from my study, I can conclude that the use of Bill Gates as metonymy can be used to represent characteristic of a richest man, for instance, like the Ukrainians Bill Gates, or the philanthropist, a successful dropout college. My paper also, the complete title you can find on the reference on the end part of my paper publication. Whereas in specific for the metonymic use of Sri Kandi and Kartini, there were the type that were followed ICM is actually idealized cognitive models. These terms were used by Raden and Kovacsek. In Sri Kandi and Kartini, it means person for trait. So the name of the person is used to represent the traits or characteristic. This has also been affirmed by Janet Littlemore in our personal communication on July 6, 2020. Person portraits idealized cognitive models is a name of a person is used as metonymy because of its particular characteristics. This is our finding. The first one is across parties and political levels. So we find that the use of metonymy, Sri Kandi and Kartini can be found in national political level, in every parties, and in national political, in national level, in regional level. An example they provided here like aktif di politik dan sosial, Kartini Senayan, gigih perjuangkan nasib perempuan. So being politically and socially active, Kartini of Senayan is determined to fight for women. So this is on national level, whereas the second example is at the regional level, Sri Kandi Beringin. We can see that not only the use of metonymy of proper name, but we can also use the use of other symbol metonymy like Senayan and Beringin, which we will discuss also in later. Next, this is our finding when we try to examine the use based on context from 10 data. We can see that Kartini is mostly used during April, and Sri Kandi is used not only in April. So it means that when closing April, April to Siti days, the context and social culture make use of RTS method is month. It is also interesting that it makes it strong the political sphere because use of the metonymy of Sri Kandi is combined with another metonymy like Sri Kandi and PDI. They use the symbol of the head of the book. You can see a previous example of the use of Kartini Senayan, which refers to Senayan is the metonymy, the place name of Indonesian originally. So the combination of other metonymy make the political atmosphere of uses become so Kartini Senayan it's a sphere of political context. Last one that we had in this study is not characteristics is actually so the example that we see here that approaching Ramadan, Kartini is clear from the context that the characteristic or traits of Kartini, the empowerment of the budding spirit, the nationalism, doesn't really appear from this context, but it just to represent the probably and which organization they come from. So the female is yes, tech role politics, yes, but fight for empowerment, political struggle, and cultural struggle. I think we argue that this is absence from the context. This one is political social. I think this is more. You can see female, yes, tech role politics, woman empowerment. Yes, you can find it political struggle, gigi perempuan, and cultural struggle. Is also can be implied from this context of the news. So. Sometimes the use of Sri Kandi and Kartini is only to present that this conducted by women consists actually missing of the spirit of that the use of metonymy in this in English is salient and become part of everyday language. Examples various discourses and mixing which embedded culture and historical variation as seen from Sri Kandi and Kartini. And also with that the further investigation be conducted on a field, not just politics, but probably in many Sri Kandi and Kartini is frequently used. And we also test whether the interpretation by the readers or the audience is safely fits with the intention of the metaphor producer. So the use is excessively political. We also find that the context plays a simple role in the use of Kartini, particularly during the celebration of Kartini Day on April 20th. And the last dimension for empowerment is reflected from our member. So thank you. How is a preliminary overview on the side of metonymy proper name in Indonesia context. Thank you for Sanada for providing us the opportunity to present our paper.